It's not supper time yet, Oona, but I promise I will give you lots of food when it's supper time, okay? Deal? Deal. Oona, I promised that I would give you supper at supper time. It's not supper time yet. You still have to wait. Oona, it's not supper time yet. You have to wait until supper time for your supper. I promised I would feed you at supper time. It's not supper time yet. Nice try. It's not supper time yet. It's getting close, but it's not quite there yet. I promise you can eat when I get to eat. Deal? Okay. All right, Oona, now that we've both had supper, I think it's time to read our Bible story. Today's Bible story is called A Forever Promise, and it has a really big word in it that I'm going to tell you about first because it's probably not a word you've heard before. The word is covenant. And covenants are kind of like promises. But promises are sometimes for little things, like me promising that I would feed you supper at supper time. But a covenant is usually a lot bigger. It's a big promise, like the promise that I made that I would never, ever, ever give you away, that I would always take care of you. That's more like a covenant. Does that make sense? All right, good. Let's read our Bible story now. This is a forever promise from Genesis chapter 15. Abram couldn't sleep. He tossed and turned, but he was still awake. Abram prayed, God, you promised that Sarai and I would have a baby. We're very old now. We still don't have a baby. Did you forget your covenant? Did you change your promise? God spoke to Abram. Don't be afraid. I haven't forgotten my covenant. You will have a baby. Abram was frustrated. When, God? How long do we have to wait? God told Abram, go outside. Abram rolled out of bed and rubbed his eyes. He walked outside. Look up, count all the stars in the sky, God said. Abram frowned. God, no one can count the stars. There are too many. God's voice was gentle. Abram, there are millions of stars in the sky. One day, millions of people will call you their father. Abram gulped. Millions of children won't fit in my tent. God laughed. It will be many generations of people. You won't see them all during your life. Abram, I'm giving you a new name, God continued. From now on, your name is Abraham, which means father of many. Sarai will be Sarah. Someday, millions of people will call her their mother. Abram trusted God. God would keep this covenant. God does not break promises. It's a pretty good thing that God doesn't break his promises, huh, Oona? Because he's made a lot of important promises to us. And because of those promises, we have a really good, full life. Will you pray with me now? Dear God, thank you for loving us. Thank you for giving us a covenant, for giving us a promise, and for always keeping it. Please help us to keep our promises to others. Amen.
I will protect Gotham City. Because I'm Batman. I made a covenant that I will protect Gotham City. Will you help me? Maybe think about it. I'll come back later.